Hey everybody, this is Dr. Alexis with AZ Dance Medicine Specialists. I created this little presentation just to give you an introduction to all the components that are in this starter kit. So I'm just going to go over each document or each piece of collateral just briefly, just to give you an idea of how you can use it to enhance your training or how you can use it when you are giving a workshop or working with an injured dancer or working in the dance community. So here we go. We're going to cover training first, and the first training document that I think you should take a look at is the Quick Start Guide to Becoming a DancemedPro. It's basically got some tips that I've created to help every clinician just get a feel or a frame of mind for how dancers think about their health, how they think about seeking help when they're injured, a couple of tips on things that you might want to know on the back end for you and your staff to help bridge that gap and establish a good rapport when working with injured dancers. Next, I think you should go ahead and look at the intro to becoming a DancemedPro presentation. It's one of my 5, 6, 7, 8 method presentations, and in it, you'll learn some perspectives to consider with treating dancers. I give you some functional tests that'll help you kind of start getting a feel for how the dancers are able to move within their movement capacity, some hidden signs of core weakness in dancers so you can quickly identify what types of core instabilities they may be having that's holding them back from performing their best, and then some key muscles or key areas for you to kind of make sure that you're looking at, because 9 times out of 10, most dancers that are standing in front of you asking for help are going to have dysfunction in those areas. So that's the second thing I would look at. So the next thing that I would take a look at are the various dance resources, which include the video called Intro to Dance. That was created for clinicians who may not have a strong background in dance terminology or in dance movement. So it's broken down by different dance genres or styles, and we give you examples of basic movements and basic terminology within each of those styles, just so you can get familiar with some of the common lingo and common movements that dancers do. So if they come in and they say it hurts when I do a certain move, you have a frame of reference to go from. The other thing that I've included is our functional 10 card from AZ Dance Med. I went ahead and put in a white label copy because you may come across or may feel the need to distribute it if you're ever doing a workshop. And basically, it's the functional definition of some very basic fundamental movements that span multiple dance genres or dance styles. For example, number 1 is a plie. Plie is just a bending of the knees. And we define the functional definition of a plie as a method for gathering energy so that you can push off for jumps or some type of elevating activity. We created this functional 10 so that you can have an appreciation for what movements are used for in terms of producing larger dance movements, but also as an educational tool when you're working with other dance instructors or dance students or professional dancers to help them understand what the functional use is for the movements that they're very used to doing so they can tap into the proper muscle recruitment patterns and proper postures to optimize the performance of those movements. The next thing I look at in terms of training are the functional stability assessment video and the single leg stance assessment video. So the functional stability assessment, I've actually also included these positions in a PowerPoint presentation, so you have still shots of the positions as well. And they are positions that you can do a basic perturbation test based on dance style. So if you have a dancer who comes in who's a ballet dancer or who is mostly a tap dancer, I've included some positions that you can do some gentle stability testing in to see if relative to their dance style, they're holding up to a challenge. If they're failing a stability test in a basic position that they perform in often, more than likely that gives you an excellent opportunity to work on some core training in a functional position for them that will probably help them maximize their dance performance. The single leg stance assessment video goes over a basic position for single leg stance and then also gives you a couple of tips on what to look for and if you find certain things in terms of loss of balance or compensations for balance, what they can mean in terms of how your dancer may be compensating when they're performing, and it may give you some tips on where you can go in terms of planning for intervention and planning for treatment. Okay, we're going to switch up to Collateral. So Collateral are going to be the things that you can use in presentations. You can distribute out into the community to help build your dance medicine program, to help get people to know that you are starting to develop a program at your facility focused on helping injured dancers. So here we go in terms of looking at Collateral. So I've included 2 presentations that you can use for community workshops to help get you out into the community, let the dance community know that you're available to work with dance injuries. One of them is our just general injury management and prevention presentation. It says Dance Parents Edition, but it's actually pretty much for everyone. The Dance Parents Edition, I kind of tweak the frequently asked questions a little bit to get or to identify, or rather to help parents identify when it's appropriate for them to send their dancer to you. So that's why it was called Dance Parents Edition. But the information is completely appropriate for just about any population. I use this workshop and I invite students, parents, studio owners, instructors. I invite everybody to this. Here are the things that we cover. We cover talking about the understanding the injury experience. So I take them through talking about acute, post-acute injuries, achieving a steady state of performance when you're not showing injury symptoms and you're not showing signs of compensation with dance. We talk about performance potential following injury because everybody wants to know when an injury happens, if a dancer can dance again, when they can go back to dance, can they make this competition, do they have to sit out of classes? So we talk about indicators for safe performance following injury. We cover some frequently asked questions from parents, instructors, students, just a couple of things that I've heard across the country over the last few years in teaching seminars and workshops and things like that have become more common. So I started including them in this presentation. And then we talk a little bit about the concept of functional dance conditioning and making sure that the exercises that you're selecting, whether it's for instructors selecting appropriate exercises for their classes or students selecting appropriate exercises for their own personal warm-ups. We talk about what functional dance conditioning actually means so that they can be making the best decisions possible for exercise selection to maximize their performance. So that's what that presentation does. The second presentation is one of my favorites. It kind of came out of teaching at a conference, and the conference director kind of wanted me to take all of my workshops and seminars that I do through AZDM and just kind of combine them into one and give an overview. And so what that turned into was this presentation, which is expert tips from a DancemedPro. It's another, a little bit of a deeper version of questions and concepts that I've gathered over the years and feedback from different instructors and students and parents again. But it's kind of like cutting to the chase of the things that a lot of people don't know, that we want them to know in terms of taking care of themselves, in terms of recognizing injuries, in terms of preventing injuries. So yeah, there's the basic summary. There are tips that will give a glimpse into how you can improve your personal or class conditioning program, maximize performance, identify risk for injury, and manage injuries when they occur. So some of the things that we talk about in that presentation are, for example, for instructors, the concept that a lot of dancers tend to have more issues with FHL and FDL tendonitis versus Achilles tendonitis, but a lot of times they'll talk about pain in the back of their heel and automatically think that it's their Achilles. So one of the tip is when you have a student who comes to you and talks about Achilles tendonitis, consider that, but also think about more than likely they're probably having a toe flexor issue because dancers use their toes way, way more than non-dancers do. So a lot of times in the general medical community, FHL tendonitis flies under the radar. So that's kind of just an example of one of the tips. Another tip that we talk about is the importance of getting seasonal assessments. So at AZ Dance Med, we offer dance physicals, and we encourage students and professional dancers to get a yearly dance physical, just like a yearly regular physical. So one of the tips in this presentation, the expert tips from DancemedPro, is just understanding the importance of regular assessment and making sure that you're getting yourself regularly assessed to help prevent injuries in the future. That also gives you an opportunity to position yourself as a source or as a provider of those types of physicals. So it gives the audience another reason to come see you and work with you. Okay, some more white label collateral that we've included. A How Strong Is Your Core card. So a lot of instructors love this card. You can write your dancer's name on it, and you can quickly check off hidden signs of core weakness. And kind of the more check marks that a dancer has, the more they may want to take a closer look at improving core strength with those dancers. The call to action at the bottom is that if they have 3 or more, they should be coming to you for a little bit more of an in-depth assessment. There's a pre-class warm-up exercise card, so kind of AZDM's like top 5, not only top 5 favorite, but more often than not, top 5 exercises that usually end up in most dancers' exercise program, at least their first or second rounds of their home exercise programs. We've collected them and put them on a nice card to distribute. Again, take home collateral at the end of a workshop. I also included it electronically because a lot of times when I'm at a workshop, I also use that as an opportunity to build my social media following. So I'll tell students or I'll tell parents, hey, if you message me on or send me a DM on Instagram or on Facebook, I will send you the electronic version. And I always say that you don't have to follow me in order to send the message to get the collateral, but most of them do. So it's a back-end way to build a following and build your social media presence as well. The last one is tips for managing and preventing injuries, and it is a summary of the expert tips from a DancemedPro presentation. So if anybody comes in and you're giving that presentation and they have their notepad and their pen and they're ready to take notes, I always say, you're more than welcome to take notes. Some people learn better by writing. However, if you want to just focus on listening, again, back end building a following, shoot me a message on Instagram and I will send you the note card that goes with this presentation. I always joke around. I say it's really pretty. It's got nice colors on it. And so, I average probably 10 to 15 followers on my Instagram account every time I give this presentation, just based off of requests for the card. And again, I always say they don't have to follow me in order to get the card, but they usually end up following me. So again, I'm building my social media presence. So those are all white labeled. They're included in the starter kit for your distribution. The last piece of collateral is a PDF version of my ebook, The 5 Myths About Dance Injuries. So this is a good just introduction about common things that many dancers are told out in the medical community that aren't always necessarily 100% accurate. Things like tight hamstrings are just tight hamstrings and they just need to be stretched. And we offer a perspective of tight hamstrings can also be a sign of core weakness. So maybe if you focus on that, that can help reduce the tension in the hamstrings. We also talk about things like scoliosis not being a nail in your dance coffin, snapping hip. That's another concept that we talk about and what that means in terms of what causes it and what types of interventions can be appropriate for helping to resolve that. So it's a nice little ebook. It also has a copy of pre-class warm-up exercises in the back as well. This is white labeled as well, so you can switch out names, labels, things like that. I'm sorry, it's a Word document form. It's not PDF, so that you can make those edits and put your own touches in terms of your logo, your name, and things like that on them. So there you go, guys. I hope that this little overview kind of gets you started on where you can kind of start in looking through the kit materials. If you have any questions, shoot me an email at info@azdancemed.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any additional questions that you have. Just to let you know, if you're interested in any of our other trainings, we do online sessions. We have our DancemedPro certification program that helps really level up your assessment skills, level up your intervention skills, specifically in working with dancers. We also have a year-long coaching program that involves like Q&A sessions, additional trainings that aren't available to the general community. We also have an annual meeting, just lots of fun stuff to continue to, turn your dance med skills on into beast mode. If you can't decide, if you're interested in another educational opportunity with us and you can't really decide what you want, shoot me a message and let's just jump on a call where we can kind of chat. I can hear more about where you are, where you'd like to go in terms of working with dancers, and I can help guide you to what the next step would be that can help you achieve those goals. So there you go, guys. Let me know if you have any questions about the overview. I hope you enjoy the kit. Message me and let me know how you're doing integrating the kit, learning or looking through the training materials, incorporating the interventions in your clinical practice, and using the collateral or using the presentations and workshop and seminar events. Let me know how you're doing with all of this. All feedback's always welcome. So happy dancing, happy treating, and you guys take care.